Hello, my name is Calissa Huth. I'm a senior bridge engineer and I work in the Bridge and Materials Technology team at GHD. I've been with GHD for about 7 years and my role ranges from detailed structural design, developing major bids, project management and working on client engagement strategies for one of GHD's largest clients.
Hello, my name is Lucinda Wozniak and I'm a structural engineer with Bornhorst Ward. I joined Bornhorst Ward in the summer of 2016, having just graduated months before. I applied in my penultimate year and was lucky enough to secure a graduate position. I've been with Bornhorst and Ward ever since.
Hi, my name is Rupsha and I'm currently in my second year of the graduate program at Arup. I'm working as a civil engineer in the highways team, and it is currently my third year working at Arup as I started in the vacation program in 2017. I've had lots of experience working on large highways and civil infrastructure projects and also some experience on technical advisory rail projects.
Hi, I'm Joshua Zahn. I'm a graduate civil engineer working in the water infrastructure team at Jacobs. I've been working here for going on 3 years now, and I work primarily on water treatment and transport projects, but also on flood monitoring and irrigation modelling.
Hi CESA, my name is Jordan Wareham. I'm a site engineer with Lendlease. I graduated with an engineering degree from UQ back in 2017 and started with the Lendlease grad program in 2018, finishing in February of this year. I'm currently working on the Caboolture Hospital redevelopment project and I'm expecting to be there for the next few years.
Hi, my name is Ian. I am what you would call a fresh grad, just got out the end of last year. I am now a graduate structural engineer in the construction engineering team at Upbeat Group. I've been working for Upbeat Group for about 1.5 years and I've started since the end of my penultimate year in uni.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when transitioning from university into industry, and how has it shaped your career?
My biggest challenge transitioning from university to full-time work was just filling out a timesheet. So as a consultant, we're really just selling our time. At the end of each week, we need to allocate the time that we've spent to different projects so that we can work out how to bill our clients. I had to really quickly learn how to be more effective with my time so that I could allocate it to each of the projects at the end of the week. And I'd really recommend for graduates that early on you develop this sort of understanding for how much time that you've been given and the commercial drivers behind that, as well as respect the time of your mentors and managers. For me, developing this business acumen early on in my career has allowed me to become a more successful team player and project manager.
One of the biggest challenges any new graduate will face is overcoming the knowledge gap between having just received your certificate, your bachelor's, and then practicing as an engineer. And that's okay, we expect it. And it's perfectly fine to feel swamped, to reach out for help, and to talk to us. And that is why Bornhorst Ward has such heavy focus in its mentoring program. Anyone who joins the company is instantly paired with their mentor, and that relationship is critical in building both your technical skills and your soft skills. During this time, I absolutely recommend to make lists, you make questions, you sit down with us, and you work through any problems you're having. And you learn, you absorb, and you try again. Making mistakes is perfectly fine. It's natural, really, and that's the best way for you to develop your skills.
The largest challenges I had when transitioning from university to the workplace were firstly adjusting to a 5-day working week and a 7.5-hour working day. So I found this quite challenging at the start because it involved me having to wake up quite early every day to make sure that I was at work on time, while at university I could always choose a schedule or choose classes that started later in the day to adjust around my personal preferences and sleep schedule. However, I've found that I've gotten used to the more fixed hours over time, that I had some challenges at the start being productive for the full working day, but this really does get better with time and you start to get used to it after a while. Another challenge I had was learning how to be productive and self-driven at work. So a lot of the times you'll be given tasks and expected to work on them with little supervision. So it's really up to you to reach out, be proactive, and ask your colleagues for help, and do some research yourself and see if you can find the solution. So in many situations, I expected that I would be fully guided through the process. However, as everyone in the team is quite busy, it's really up to you to reach out a lot of the time and ask for help when you need it, or to book in a time with one of your supervisors to sit down and go over something that you may need assistance with. It's really important to be proactive, and the more proactive you are, I've found that it's also led to more opportunities to do different types of work for me, because I've shown that I can be counted on, and I've shown a certain level of enthusiasm for the work that I'm doing.
I was fortunate enough to start as an undergraduate here at Jacobs, so that eased the transition from university to industry. But I know that a lot of people did struggle with moving from that less structured environment to a more routine environment of the workplace. But everyone gets used to that over time. What I found most challenging was the way that our clients often come to us with problems. Often they don't have a solution in mind, or they might have multiple solutions. And unlike in university, there isn't one defined method or solution to the problem. And so that requires us to think more critically and apply more engineering judgment to these problems to find an adequate solution. I think this has helped myself in my professional career, as it has allowed me to think of problems more holistically. And often I can apply these learnings from one project to another more easily, because it's not defined to one particular solution.
Probably the biggest challenge that I faced when I moved from university into the industry was just wanting to balance the need to be perceived as really good in my day-to-day job, I'm very confident there, but also really outgoing and invested in the broader engineering and construction industry. The skill sets that I employed just to help shape my career and who I am as a worker is all about organisation. So for me, having things like really good meeting notes that you take away from any interaction with someone, whether it's a formal or an informal meeting, that you can refer back to later, just saves asking a question at another time that looks as if you weren't paying attention. It also just makes it a lot easier to plan out your time and step through the activities that you need to do to complete a certain task. And I follow that through every part of my career, so whether it's my formal day-to-day work, industry engagement, or some form of project that I've done as part of the Lendlease grad program, make sure I've got a really good understanding of what tasks are required of me and what I need.
One of my biggest challenges is that the learning continues even after university. However, this time you're not given a learning outline and all the learning resources and examples that you need. The things that you have to learn each time changes with the type of jobs that you get, and in some occasions you might just find yourself in a position where you're completely clueless and have no examples to refer to. Unlike uni, you can't just skip and hope that you've done enough for a certain grade. So basically, all you have to do is to be proactive in asking questions. Just try avoiding asking the same questions multiple times. In other words, once you're out of university, you are in charge of your own learning. There will be no one forcing you to study and to develop your technical capabilities.
With the current global pandemic of COVID-19, how has this impacted the recruitment process for job opportunities, and what has your company implemented to ensure that current graduates are supported in their roles?
The global pandemic has definitely affected our 2021 graduate intake. So we've had to push back the timeline for our face-to-face interviews. And to be completely honest, the intake numbers have had to be reduced across our Australian and New Zealand business. The applications for the 2021 intake, they closed in March, so at the moment applicants are currently being contacted and reviewed. At GHD, we always get a large number of requests to undertake undergraduate work experience. Because we're all currently working from home, we recognise that this isn't the best time to provide guidance and experience to undergraduates, and so we currently aren't taking any more on. When we reach the other side of this, we really do look forward to helping to develop the future leaders of our business. During this time, while we're all physically separated, we've tried not to be disconnected. And for our graduates, we have specifically implemented an initiative called Graduate Connections. This is designed for our first and second year graduates so they can share experiences with each other and support each other and stay connected building those really important relationships.
COVID-19 has impacted our recruitment process ever so slightly. In previous years, we've hired a bus, grabbed a collection of uni students, and taken them out to site. Whilst you're there, you get to walk around, put your steel caps on, scruff them a little bit, but in all seriousness, check out formwork, check out props, lots of ferrule, you get to see how a civil piece of infrastructure is installed, what is that culvert doing over there, those sorts of items. And because we are there with you, you get to ask us on the spot. But unfortunately this year, we've had to resort to a virtual tour. However, you will be going to Queen's Wharf, and you will be going alongside one of our other graduates, Zach Lucas. He'll give you an insight as to what he's done, what he's been doing on site, the design tasks he's had, and the skills he's learned during this time. Speaking of graduates, it's critical to mention that no one's been left behind. Particularly their development during this work from home period. It's challenging, but that's okay. We're all learning together, and we're doing this learning through Microsoft Teams. It's an online collaborative tool whereby it allows you to call your mentor whenever you're stuck or you need a little bit more guidance. It lets you share your screen so you can talk exactly about what you're confused about without any sort of, is it this, is it that? That ambiguity is removed completely.
So unfortunately, as a result of this pandemic, there has been a company-wide hiring freeze, and this has extended to the graduate positions for next year. However, it is hopeful that once this pandemic is resolved, these positions will be reopened, but that will be assessed on a case-by-case basis. For the undergraduate positions, it's hopeful that these will go ahead as planned, but again, that will need to be reassessed as the crisis unfolds. Working from home as part of this pandemic has had its challenges, but Jacobs have been great in supporting the graduates through this. Recently we have changed to what we call our next gen structure, and as a consequence, each graduate has a manager a team leader below their section manager who is directly responsible for their professional and vocational development. And so they've always been readily available and contactable, often more so than when we were all working in the office.
In terms of the way that COVID-19 has impacted our recruitment process, there's certainly a change. So in construction, safety is obviously a massive element of it, and we need to respond to the changing advice around safety at all times. But specifically with recruitment, the change that we see there is more just around interaction. So the grad team in general is very proactive with check-in emails. They also do a lot of video calls where they check in with graduates just to see how they're going as a collective. You're encouraged to do that both between graduates and between the grad team and the graduates. Failing that, always have to take a phone call, which is very useful. So you can fire off an email and then follow it up with a phone call if there's something you're not clear about. Positively, Lendlease is still proceeding with our 2021 graduate program recruitment, even though there's a bit of a difference in the format that it's taken over other years. So assessment centres are now all virtual, which arguably has a better impact for some people because it's a little bit more accessible. And they're also just making sure that our career fair and other opportunities to engage with the graduate team are available online so that people can access them wherever they are.
Graduates are definitely very well supported while the work from home arrangements are being implemented during this COVID-19 pandemic. Regular team meetings are being held for the effective delegation of tasks and just to check on everyone's well-being and progress. If needed, we can always go into private conversation with someone else, either to ask a question or to discuss a specific project. I'll say that the company has successfully transitioned into a fully remote working arrangement, utilizing the existing online tools and resources that we already have. The impact of COVID-19 on recruitment and opportunities has been different for each region and areas. The graduate recruitment process has been delayed so that we could talk to people face-to-face as we return to office-based working environment. There are generally good programs out there to support our staff and employees, but we'd like to make sure when we bring new graduates into the business, they will feel fully supported to grow and learn.